What's your point of order?
Order 12, Rule 79.
Hold on, don't go there. You mean Order 12, Rule 79?
Sub 3.
I only want us to go that route now. That order, I understand what you are trying to raise, that this bill is supposed to have the
Original bill
bill.
to accompany the amendment.
And I've been praying that Honorable Femi Akindele, I didn't know you are the one that will not see it. I know Femi Akindele will always want to look into this. Hold on. Yes, let me see. I need people who can help. If you cannot help, don't raise your hand. Yes, leader of the house.
And the proposed amended bill was distributed during the last plenary. So every member is expected to have a copy of that.
Read that order. Order 12, 79.3 that he just cited. Read it.
A compendium of the background information.
Please, let's listen to that order. Yes? Read.
On the introduction of a bill, a compendium of the background information shall be delivered to all members.
Yes.
Which we did during the last plenary.
Go ahead.
If it is an amending bill, an up-to-date consultation of the law or laws to amend it shall be delivered unless the bill amends the law amended previously in the session.
Now, what's your understanding of that order?
Well, my understanding, Right Honorable Sir, is that the introduction and the background was done in the last plenary, and the existing law was also distributed while this...
Existing?
Yes, the existing law.
Okay,
the
was
principal
distributed,
law was distributed
alongside these amendments?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Oh, okay. How many members received the existing law?
Every member in that plenary had it.
No, please. Madam Clerk, you are the one to settle this. Please sit down. Yes, was the... No, I did it. I'm asking the leader to sit down. Madam Clerk, stand. Was the existing law that this bill sought to amend, was it distributed to members?
Yes, sir.
All right, the clerk has settled that. Then, thank you. Yes, the clerk has settled that. Meaning that, okay, your contribution, Honorable Johnson Yekola Bodiadeoye.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. I believe we have resolved the issue raised by the point of order raised by Honorable Abiodun Faweku. So we can now move on to debating the bill itself. Mr. Speaker, my little contribution to this bill is for me to affirm my support for the step to amend, update, and
let's give. We need to address the point of order. Settle it. Then we can now go to the.
I thought you have ruled that.
I have not ruled. No ruling yet. So that's. I only said the Madam Clerk has settled. I have not ruled. Yes, you observe. No, let me rule on the point of order, then we can now go ahead. Now, the point of order raised is a very germane and critical point of order, which must guide us. Thank God that the writing was done according to the clerk, and no member debunked that. Then it therefore means that the existing law in place that this bill sought to be amended had already been distributed. But it's also important to say that when any bill is seeking to amend any law, the existing law must be attached alongside for members, except that if that law was also made or amended during the existence of our tenure. On that note, we can continue with the debate. So, is the observation first now, or no observation again? Then, Honorable Joba, you can now make your submission, not on what we have ruled on, but on the contribution to the debate.
Exactly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to add my voice to the debate on the amendment of Ekiti State pension law. Like I was saying before, that it is proper and timely for us to look at the existing pension law in a manner to re-energize it, to update it, and make it a workable law. Because, Mr. Speaker, issues around pension is a very serious public matter. And thankfully, we have a governor who has been very, very responsive to the plight of pensioners. He has been able, he has set in motion machinery to settling all pension backlogs and bringing succor to our elderly people who are mostly the people receiving these pensions. So it is not out of place to bring the bill, bring the existing law to a very effective and workable document. However, there is an observation on the second to the last page that I want the bureaucracy to correct immediately. If you look at it's not corrected yet. The second to the last page, where the name of Mr. Speaker is written and that of clerk above it, the name is not updated.
Yes, that is the function of the committee. You know, we are going to, by the time this is set out to the committee, they will do the needful.
All right.
But your observation is very important. That will guide the committee. I understand what you are saying, and I can see it. Or possibly this bill, no, it can't even be. Yes, any further contribution? Yes, Honorable Princess Barrister Iyabo Fakule Okeme plus Lydia.
The Right Honorable Speaker, fresh from Canada.
If you don't understand, Joba has always prided himself as the one that has the longest name. Now your name is even the longest.
Distinguished honorable parliamentarians, my name is Honorable Barrister Iyabo Fakunle Okeme, and I represent the good people of Ilejimeje constituency. I would like to fully align with the position of people that members that spoke before me, and I would particularly like to highlight the observation, the contribution of Honorable Tunde Oke. Due to the sensitivity of the subject matter at hand, it is very, very expedient and very, very important that we commit this to public hearing so that all the stakeholders can have a say, dissect the amendments, and we get their opinion. Having said that, I would also like to direct our attention to, I think the law is not paged, but I think it's the one before the page that Honorable Johnson Bode Adeoye Oyikola pointed out, and that is in the number 6, the short title. I believe it should read thus. This law may be cited as the Ekiti State Pension Reform. The word state is missing. So let the bureaucracy take note and amend it accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Okieme. Yes, Honorable, I need to call a pensioner. Yes, Honorable Awoni Jacob. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. Distinguished honorable members of the House, I'm Honorable Jacob Adeyemi Awoni, representing Member Constituency 2. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say and agree with the past speakers on the importance of this particular bill. To me, anything that we assist workers and cushion the effect of unnecessary hardship that may follow after their retirement is to be given priority by any responsible House of Assembly. And we thank God we have one. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm in total support of the bill, and I want to suggest that the bill should be given, I don't want to say sporadic passage, but the needed passage that it deserves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable. Okay, Right Honorable Akim Jami.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for permitting me to lend my voice to this. My first observation is that because I read through the bill, and I discovered that it does not only affect pensions, because anything that has to do with retirement benefits, that is, we are talking of gratuity here. And I think the law, the title should accommodate this, for a law to amend the state pension and gratuity reform law 2022 and other
Right,
matters.
once pension is mentioned, it's all encompasses, sir.
Well,
Yes.
okay, but going through this, you will discover that anything that has to do with retirement, I think the word gratuity should be there. But if it is encompassing, there is no problem. But another observation that I can point out is that the amendment is good, but how is it going to ensure that our pensioners receive their pensions on time, and especially gratuity? This should be looked into. If there is any section that we can see slotting that can fasten this, because I've read through, I don't see. It's just the aim of this bill is to widen the scope of contributory pension scheme. If this is going to make sure that our pensioners don't wait for long and die before they receive their pensions, then it's okay. But I don't see how this can. Let's look for a clause that will ensure a kind of a novel thing that will ensure that pensions will be paid and gratuity will be paid on time. This is my observation, and I also support those who said this should go through a public hearing. But as a house here, I think it's part of our duty to make suggestions, to look for ways of how to resolve this. Well, we appreciate the governor who has been clearing the backlog of pensions and also paying gratuities as at well due by increasing the amount voted for the payment of gratuity. But I believe there are certain steps that can still be taken to ensure that our pensioners don't wait for eternity before receiving their pensions and gratuities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Akim Jami. May I call Honorable Femi Akindele?
Speaker, dear colleagues, I am Honorable Femi Olanrewaju Akindele. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to start with the cast iron rule.
And the meaning is that there is no law that is cast in iron. This law can be amended over and over again as the situation requires, as the emerging maybe economic realities demand. Right, Honorable Speaker, the only thing I want to say and clear here is that we all know, and it's a policy of the state that has been gazetted, that everybody employed into the service of the state government, commencing from January 1st, 2010, none of them is entitled to collect pensions from the state after their retirement. That has to be cleared, made clear at this point on this platform. And the pension payment from state coffers will end in the year 2028. The meaning of that is that our members, the civil servant, the bureaucracy, they have to devise a means to join a reliable pension scheme offices in town. And like I said earlier, our law is not cast in iron. These laws can still be amended to even suit the purpose of those people that the state will not cater for commencing from the year 2028. This law can still, maybe if you can't undo that now on this amendment, if that one comes later, we can still amend further. I'm just putting this on the table right on the scale so that we know and be clear about what we are doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, there are a few things we want us all, by the time we are going for public hearing, that I want us all to know about this law and why this law. These are the things I think we should all avert our mind to. Why do we need this amendment? Honorable Joba, please, can we, Honorable Femi Akindele, why do we need this law? I'm not, yes, it shows to show that you are not here. Please just sit. Why do we need this law? Why this amendment? I think that's the first question we ask ourselves. This amendment is with the aim to now see to, one, the problems that retirees face. Public servants, after 35 years, some of them, after retiring from service, that some of them have to queue for years to even get their entitlements, either gratuity or pension payments. In some states, thank God for Ekiti State, pension are being paid as and when due, while we still have backlogs of gratuities that we are paying at the moment. The whole essence of this amendment is now to migrate from the current existing pension arrangement that we have to a contributory pension scheme. That is the whole essence of this arrangement. Meaning that if you migrate to contributory pension scheme, there is certain percentage that the employer will pay, and certain percentage contribution made by the employee to what we call RSA, that is retirement savings accounts, where you are making contribution to the civil servant or the public servant on monthly basis is basically certain percentage as retirement savings into an account. Then the employer is also padding it or matching it with a certain percentage, so that at the end of retirement, that account, you can just go there, get your the retirement already contributed and all your entitlements without have to wait for longer years. But to do this, they also observe, because the issue of 2028 is that if we start now, it is only those will not retire between, it's only those who will retire between now and 2028 cannot be captured under this scheme. But from 2028 upward, those who still have their service beyond 2028 are the ones that this law will be applicable to. There are other fears out there, and that is why we need, the public hearing, to engage all those that will be affected by this amendment. If I am retiring and I only have 10 years, don't forget 2024 to 2028 is just 4 years. But I have just 10 years in the service, meaning that this amendment will affect me if I have 10 years in the service. That's the meaning. So what happens to the years that I've spent? These are the areas that we want us to look into. Why we are engaging this? How are they going to handle that? What is going to happen? What will be the fate? And these are the things I want us to look at. But I must say that the advantage of this bill is more than the disadvantage, because pensioners will not be queuing for gratuity any longer by this contributory pension scheme. But how do we mitigate the effect on those who have little time left? 10 years, 15 years, what happens to them? What is their fate? That is why we are here. We must ensure that this law also protects those who will be in that category. That is, those who have 6 years, if we have 4 years between now and 2028. So those who have from 5 years, let's say up to 15 years, we must be able to see how to protect them. And that is part of what we should do. Not that alone. Who are the RSA holders? And that is why this house must also find a way of that the house too can check and provide check and balances when the time comes. Particularly the activity of the RSA holders, that is the retirement savings account holders. Because some of them will be coming out to provide that, to provide that. We must be able to safeguard the interest so that the concerns raised by Right Honorable Akeem Jamiu will also be taken care of. That after retirement, was it Honorable Akeem or one person? After retirement, I hope they will still not be queuing up even after. But to me, this is the best form of reform, pension scheme that we can have. That you will know, even before retirement, you know what you have. In some advanced country, you can even take loan ahead from that same scheme. You can begin to take from it because it's a contribution. You are contributing, your employer is also contributing. It is your money waiting for you at the point of exit that you don't need to wait. And that the burden will also be taken from government. The burden of waiting will also be taken from the people. Meaning that if you retire, it is not until your family member after your death that they will be running after your death entitlement or whatever they call it. That is the whole essence. I believe it's going to be a win-win, but this house must also ensure that it is a win-win. And that is the reason why I said this law bill is critical, is important for us to look at it. But I am also not unaware that this bill is also time-bound if we really mean business. Because for this to take effect, to have effect to cover for 2028, this bill has to be passed before the end of this year. And that is why it's important that the committee that we will commit this bill to must work expeditiously to conduct public hearing. But please don't just say public hearing. ensure you engage all the stakeholders. Let them make their presentation and representation. And everybody that will be affected by this law must be invited. When I say everybody, not individuals now, organization. The labor unions must be invited. All the labor unions. When I say labor unions, don't just call NSC alone. Don't just call TUC alone. Go to UNAN, call ASU, call all the various interests. Come to the workers, call ASUS, call TUC, call NSC, call JNC. Very, very important. Ensure that you accommodate all interests, all shades of interest. Call PASAN. Don't forget PASAN, which is the parliamentary staff too. They will also be affected by this law. Call JUSIN and every other. Then call the PENCOM people to also come around and let us have it. So please, I expect the committee to do a thorough job at the end of the day. Thank you. Can we do the second reading now? Yes, Madam Clerk.
The Right Honorable Speaker, sir. Distinguished honorable members of the 7th Assembly, Ekiti State Pension Reform Law, First Amendment, Bill 2024, First Allotted Day, Second Reading. Thank you.
Because of the nature of this bill, I am going to set up an ad hoc committee to handle it and to come up with a report within 1 week. Or let me give them 1.5 weeks. 1.5 weeks. And please, the ad hoc committee, please work expeditiously. Clerk, you will give us a clerk for this ad hoc committee. This committee will be headed by Honorable Jacob Awoniyi, the pensioner among us. And Honorable Lateef Oluwole Akanle will be a member, a semi pensioner. Will also be there. Right Honorable Akim Jamil, sir. Yes, sir. Please, you are also a pensioner. You one way. Yes, sir. Please, I want you to be part and to represent the female, Honorable Okeme. I want it 7. So how many have I mentioned? Honorable Awoni, I've mentioned 4. I need 3. Yes, for legal, I will have the Honorable Babatunde Oke. That's 5. I know the committee that's supposed to handle this was public service matter. So Honorable Dele Ogushake will also be a member to represent the public service matter committee. Then I will add how many now? I have 6 already, and I'm now gambling between Joba and Fawekun. Why are you pointing to Fawekun? So that I can be very critical. Okay, Honorable Fawekun. So the 7 of you, please, and I want us to report. I hope, Honorable Awoni, you have taken note of those that will be a member. Yes, clerk, I want to announce the committee clerk, ad hoc committee clerk immediately. Who? Akerele. Please, you understand, if you are the clerk, ensure, stand up now, ensure that you do your job. You drive, you are to continue to tell them, we have 1.5 weeks. And Honorable Awoni, that's Dr. Akerele, is the committee clerk. Thank you. Leader of the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The next item on our order is items 2, and that's item 3, and that's Ekiti State House of Assembly Loans Board First Amendment Bill, second reading. This bill is sponsored by Honorable Johnson Oyekola Bodiadeoye.
Oyekola Bodiadeoye, remember at the last sitting, this House granted you leave to present this bill, and the bill was presented. Now today we want to listen to you why we need this bill to become law in this state. And any other person that want to support the bill can now come after him. So, Honorable Johnson Oyekola Bodiadeoye, it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like you have rightly mentioned, the leave to present this bill was granted in the last sitting, and it was so presented and seconded by Honorable Femi Fatunla. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to amend the existing Ekiti State House of Assembly Service Commission Loans Board, and it is the first amendment after the original bill passed into law by this same House of Assembly. Mr. Speaker, number one item that this bill seeks to include is the title itself is to be amended to include the word pension. Before, Mr. Speaker, it was only House of Assembly Service Commission Loans Board, but it is now to include and to be cited as Ekiti State House of Assembly Service Commission Pension and Loans Board law, to make it more encompassing and more comprehensive. Mr. Speaker, this bill also seeks to amend Section 3 of the principal law and to read as follows. Section 3, subsection 1 will now be that the chairman of the board shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House of Assembly, while Section 2 states that the board shall comprise of the following members: the deputy clerk, administration, the deputy clerk legal matters as a legal advisor, the deputy clerk legislative matters as member, executive secretary House of Assembly Service Commission, chairman Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, Ekiti State Chapter, and executive secretary Loans Board, who will now serve as member and secretary to the board. Mr. Speaker, Section 4 also seeks to include the word executive before the word secretary, to now read as executive secretary. And the executive secretary, Mr. Speaker, is to be responsible for the day-to-day running of this pension and loans board. Mr. Speaker, the importance of this amendment is, number one, to incorporate issues and matters relating to pensions of would-be retirees from this, arm of the government, and to be so, giving due attention and have also a board that will coordinate matters connected therewith. And the other one is to have an executive secretary who shall be appointed by the Speaker among the management staff on the recommendation of House of Assembly Service Commission, who shall be the accounting officer of the board, and all other related matter. Then, Mr. Speaker, this amendment also grants the power to the board to liaise with National Pension Commission from time to time on matters relating to pension of staff. This is to put this board operation in line with the practice at the national level. And I believe this is very, very important because it is already in practice in other state houses of assembly. Mr. Speaker, I would like to stop here and allow my co-sponsor to also make his additional comment and contribution to this bill. Thank you.
You are explicit enough, but the co should also make additional, and any other member that want to contribute. Yes, the co-sponsor, can you please, Honorable Femi Fatula.
Honorable Speaker. Let me adopt in total the submission and presentation of Honorable Johnson Bode Oyekola Adeoye, but to only add and to emphasize on the power of Mr. Speaker to appoint the chairman of the board and the secretary of the board, the executive secretary of the board. And this will allow Mr. Speaker to be able to know the day-to-day running of the loans board. And I think that one alone is good, and it is subject to nomination by the Assembly Commission. I think that is the area, apart from what the previous speaker had said. I think that's the area that I see that is important in this bill, that is the power for Mr. Speaker to appoint both the chairman and the secretary of the board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, thank you very much. Any other contribution before I make my final comment on it? Yes, Right Honorable Akim Jamiu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for recognizing me. My only observation about the bill is that it is good, at least it's part of ensuring the autonomy of this arm of government, this all-important arm of government, that's the legislature. If we can have our own pension scheme for workers, for our own workers, for our retirees, and at the same time, as loan for staff, I think is good. It speaks well, but my only concern is that let's find a way of making sure that we are not running foul of any law, because if you have the general pension scheme for all civil servants, we also include the staff of assembly. But if we can now demarcate and ensure our own autonomy here, that we don't have anything to do with the general pension scheme, I think it's going to be good that as a house of, if you work and retire at the House of Assembly, you don't have anything to do with the general. So you can obtain your gratuity and pension from this kind of board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right Honorable Akim Jamiu. Yes, Honorable Tunde Oke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dear colleagues, I'm Honorable Babatunde Oke, representing the Kerry Constituency 1. Mr. Speaker, let me commend the sponsor and co-sponsors of this bill. They are working in line with the vision of the leadership of this House to ensure that we're strengthening the welfare of our staff. And I want to commend them for working on these amendments. And of course, it is not the time for us to scrutinize, to look at the wordings, but to speak on the desirability of this bill, and that is what we are doing. On the issue of checking whether this bill will run foul of other laws, of course, it's very, very important we look at that too. And when the time comes for us to look at the wordings of the bill, we do that. But end, I want to believe this bill is desirable. Of course, the composition of the board for the loan is very, very important for smooth operation of the loans board. So I want to commend the sponsor and the co-sponsor for taking time to bring this to the House. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, what we're going to do, maybe at the next sitting, not today, we'll commit this to the committee of the whole, or do we have, we just have, I think committee of the House should be able to handle this, but that is not today. So don't move any motion that will commit it to the committee of the whole House, not today. Now, let me just quickly say this. This is an existing law. It's not just a new law. It's a law that we are only trying to only amend, and the only amendment to it is to strengthen the institution and to ensure that the welfare of the staff are given the paramount and the needed attention that is required. So it's not a new law. It's a law that has been in place. It's just, and that's why this is just first amendment. So and I think the exact area that is being amended, though maybe because it's our own law, that's why FAWECO is not raising point of order. Order 12 Rule 79.3, that we don't have the original law attached to this. So it's our law, so don't ask for it. However, I want members to study the original law before the committee of the whole House, when we'll be looking at it one after the other. Let's study this with the original law. The composition, I think, what makes it, that will make it very effective, is that we are allowing the civil bureaucracy, because it's their matter, we are now allowing them to sit on their own matter instead of having political head sitting on it. I think that is what we should even look at, that it is allowing the bureaucracy to sit on matter that affects them. And when you look at, this is just to pattern it with what is obtainable in either the civil service or some other places. That is what this has done. We have people, those who are managing pension at the Local Government Service Commission are just the bureaucracy, and you have it, even though we have some people now as the part-time chairman, but I think our loans board is also managed, for the state. Remember, before we came on board, before the coming on board of the 7th Assembly, we have this law, but it was not operational. It was when we came that it became operational, that we now have loans board in the Ekiti State House of Assembly. The law has been there for more than 10 years, but the board was not functioning at all until we came on board. So, and the necessity for the amendment is because we have started operationalizing it. Now there is a loan board in place working. The loans board in the House of Assembly before now has been on paper, and we have not known how it works, but now it's working. And that is why we have to also begin to look at it. What are the clogs? What are the things that will not make it work? I think that is the essence of or the intention of the initiator or those who have proposed this bill. So, but I would want us to pass it today. Let us also look at the existing law, look at the section to be amended, so that by the time we are meeting next on this bill, we can now begin to raise any further contribution. For example, if I'm to add now, I will also say that, for example, section 3.1 that we are looking at, the deputy clerk legal matters member or his representative. I think that is what we should have there. Or his representative. Legal matter where lawyers can go and represent him even if he's not around. At least they should be there. Or his representative, which is, I think that's the best way. While the deputy clerk administration is the head, the deputy clerk legal matters can be there or his representative. It's just to provide legal input. The lawyers we have in the house can also represent him, and when the lawyers are there, they're also representing him. We will look at it holistically, and before we come up to the end of it. On the issue of pension raised by the Right Honorable Clerk, Right Honorable Hakim Jamiu, you remember, sir, we said that this law has been in existence. It is also for us to begin to have our law in place for the autonomy, the full autonomy of the house. And you can't, what you don't prepare for, how do you even operate it? It shouldn't be by happenstance. And that is why everything needed to be done, we must also begin to tighten it. Even if it is not working yet, but by the time it started working, you have a law in place that will also guide you. But it's also better, what I would say, it is also better that if we are bending it to have pension, then it must be in line and in tandem with what is obtainable. Meaning that this amendment must also consider the pension bill that is before us, so that it will also, all the couples can also be part of this. Waiting if the house now become independent, to now have, the independence is not because some of us, we also look at the independence of the house, financial autonomy. No, it's not financial autonomy, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy, and the rest of it. But it will be there, and it become operational when there is full autonomy for the house, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy, and what have you. So I believe that is how law should be done, and the house will look at it together. Or do we set up a committee? This is democracy. Do we allow committee of the house to look into this so that they can come back with a report? Committee of the whole house. All right, the House have it on that. Committee of the whole house at the next sitting. Thank you. Yes, leader of the house.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My dear colleagues, the next item on our order is items 4, and that's the Ekiti State Senior Secondary School Board Bill 2024, first allotted day, second reading. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. With your further direction, I would like to...
And that there is a little issue with the power supply, and there will be need to just change it. So if your mic is off, don't bother yourself. Continue to go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My dear colleagues, I want to discuss about the Ekiti State Senior Secondary School Board Bill 2024. This bill seeks to establish a dedicated board for the management of public senior secondary schools in Ekiti State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, this bill is a progressive framework designed to enhance the efficiency, accountability, and quality of education at the senior secondary school level. By creating a district board for managing secondary schools, it will strengthen our education system, ensure proper supervision, and align our state policies with national standards, particularly as stipulated by the National Senior Secondary Education Commission, NSEC. The bill addresses several key areas. One is composition and leadership. It proposes the board, made up of seasoned educationists, stakeholders, and representatives of critical sectors to ensure inclusive decision-making and effective policy implementation. The bill also discussed about the functions and powers of the board as regards the area which is to ensure overseeing staff appointments, promotions, training, and discipline, ensuring the highest standard in the school management. It also talked about funding and accountability. It provides for a separate account for effective utilization of funds, including counterpart funding, to assess federal grants. It also went into monitoring and supervision by ensuring regular inspection, compliance with minimum standards, and regular personnel audits to uphold quality in our schools. My dear colleagues, this bill prioritizes inclusivity by mandating representation for people living with disabilities and protecting teachers from discrimination based on religion. It provides for fair employment practices and welfare schemes to boost staff morale. By passing this bill, we will have paved the way for the transformation of senior secondary school education in Ekiti State. We will equip our young minds with the tool needed to thrive in the competitive global landscape and further position Ekiti as a leader in educational excellence. I urge my distinguished colleagues to give this bill a robust consideration. It deserves and supports its passage for brighter future of our children and the prosperity of our state. Thank you very much.
Leader of the House, yes. Well, you are a retiree, but you are also a director. You retire as a director in the education. Yes, you will be the one to follow the lead debate. Honorable Jacob Awoniyi, thank you. And dear colleagues, you have your contribution after that.
The Right Honorable Speaker, sir, members of Ekiti State House of Assembly, I'm Honorable Jacob Awoniyi, representing Maba Constituency 2. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill before us is very timely. And I quickly want to point out that as we have UBEC to the basic education in Nigeria, so also we intend to have a National Senior Secondary Education Commission Fund. And the essence of having this particular Ekiti State Senior Secondary School Board is to be in line with some other states in Nigeria that have domiciled this particular bill. And they have started enjoying the dividends of that particular bill. You see, when I refer to UBEC as, that I said as we have UBEC for the basic education, and when we talk of basic education, we are referring to primary and junior secondary schools. UBEC has been assisting the basic education, especially in the area of development, infrastructural development, in the area of personnel, that you can even think of. Look at all the buildings that are being built by SUBEB in all our primary schools. They are able to do this just because of the intervention they receive from UBEC. I'm not saying the state government is not assisting as well, but it amounts to added advantage to the basic education. And by the time we have this bill in Ekiti State, we will also be at an advantage position to also assess the intervention that will come from National Senior Secondary Education Commission Fund. And if we can have that as well, it will assist the Ekiti State government in the development of education. But before going to that, sir, I want to point to certain areas, if I be allowed to do that, sir. Yes, sir. It has to do with, we go to the page 4 of that bill, where we have establishment and composition of the board. I want certain area to be made clear to us. Under that establishment and composition of the board, number 2, we have the board shall consist of a full-time chairman. Good. B, the permanent secretary or a representative not below a director in the Ministry of Education. That is where I am going. The permanent secretary is okay. But when we say, or a representative not below a director in the Ministry of Education, I'm not a specialist in the field of English language, but I want this particular area to be made clearer to every one of us because of what can happen in future. When you say a representative not below a director in the Ministry of Education, you are not actually saying representative not below a director from the Ministry of Education. It means somebody can come from the Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Health, that is also a director like we have in the Ministry of Education. So the area that I'm pointing to is, instead of saying in the director, a representative not below a director in the Ministry of Education, it should be a representative not below a director from the Ministry of Education. So nobody can come from any other ministry to occupy that position. That is what I want to point us to. But as far as I know, the bill, if given accelerated passage, we assist Ekiti State government.
You know, I was not wrong when I asked him to lead the. Thank you.
If we allow this bill to get the favor of this House, it will definitely assist the development of education, and it assists the state government in the area of funding, because other agencies, this particular board will be assisting, as UBEC is assisting SUBEB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Johnson Oyekola Bode Adeoye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to lend my voice to the debate on this bill for Ekiti State Senior Secondary School Bus Bill. I have a concern. This bill has to, maybe before the final passage, this House has to establish what will be the relationship between this board and the existing Teaching Service Commission, so as not to have a confusing functioning, or functions of these two boards. Mr. Speaker, this bill, like Honorable Adeyemi Awoniyi has rightly mentioned, will enable Ekiti State to be able to access the fund that is available for senior secondary school in the country. And also, as it will do that, it will also expose the systemic inadequacy that exists and total neglect of junior secondary school. Mr. Speaker, majority of people don't know that the fund that state SUBEB usually access from the national UBEC is meant for primary school and junior secondary school. But unfortunately, majority of the attention or majority of these resources has been focused on primary school education alone, to the detriment of junior secondary school. So by the time we have this law in place in Ekiti State, it will have taken senior secondary school under this board, and state SUBEB will be able to take responsibility of junior secondary school education funding in terms of facility and quality of education being delivered at that level. That's my contribution, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. Honorable Babatunde Oke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues. I'm Honorable Babatunde Oke, representing the Carrier Constituency 1. Mr. Speaker, I want to align myself with the submission of Honorable Jacob Adeyemi Awoniyi and Of course, my earlier position when I saw this bill was that if it is not going to be contradicting Ekiti State Citizen Service Commission law, but I've gone through it and I've seen the consequential amendment. So meaning that this particular bill is repealing Ekiti State Teaching Service Commission law. Of course, we know that the importance of this bill is to strengthen our educational system in Ekiti State. So it's desirable, and I hope we can give it a speedy attention and passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very much. I think on that note, we will draw the curtain. Okay, Honorable Farrakhan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I am Babatunde Abedu Farrakhan. I represent those constituency 1. My observation is on page 4, number 3.2, Roman figure J. It said the composition will include the secretary to the Education Board of the state. What is the Education Board of the state? I don't know the board they are trying to mention here.
This secondary school education board.
No, they said the composition. There shall be
Okay, composition.
That the secretary to the education board will be member of that board. Will be a member of that board. So, which education board are they referring to here?
Well, it's our duty to ensure that we fine-tune the law. So we will look into it. The committee will look into it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, this is another bill, a novel bill, which is the primary objective is for the management of our secondary school and another matters incidental there too. And that is the whole essence of this bill. It is, and when you say management, you know, management is all encompassing. It's about funding, it's about ensuring that we have our public schools, particularly secondary schools, are well managed, things are working well in our secondary school. To me, that is the primary objective. All the boards that are coming in is now for us to now look at the details. The composition, let's look at the composition very well, and if possible, let's give some clear functions. So we look at the function of the board. If there are areas that we still need to include, let's include. If there are things we believe that they are not also to be part of this bill, let's remove. Let's ensure that the composition is well stated and that the law is unambiguous. The function has to be made clear so that you don't have a board that will also come at the end of the day and become something else. So, but the primary objective is the management of our secondary school in the state. Before I make final comment, let me take Honorable Odebomi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain my humble self, Honorable Comrade Idowu Odebomi. Mr. Speaker, I just want to respond to the observation being raised by Honorable Farrakhan as regards the secretary to the board. And he asked the question, who is the secretary? So I'm taking the honorable colleagues to page 5 of this bill. Page 5, I think section 5. Section 5 stated, the secretary to the board, there shall be seconded from within the public service of the states, a permanent secretary to serve as the head of administration and the secretary to the commission. The secretary shall be the accounting officer of the commission. The secretary shall be responsible to the chairman for the day running of the commission. So this answered the question being raised by.
No, don't worry. I've mentioned it. We will look at it. The committee will look into it, and at the end of it all, we will understand it better. Like I said, this is for management. This is for seeking for funding, which are part of the duties of this board. It is to ensure that we have a well established secondary school in Ekiti State that is properly funded, managed, and that can compete with any secondary school. We want to get our education right in the state. And I think that is the most important thing of this bill, and we must ensure that that is achieved properly. I want to thank you for your contributions. On that note, I call on the clerk to take the second reading.
Thank you, capacity speaking speaker and responsible honorable members of the 7th Assembly, Ekiti Senior Secondary School Board B 2024. First allotted day, second reading.
Thank you very much. On that note, this bill is hereby committed to Committee of Education. Chairman, Committee on Education, you have just 2 weeks to come with your report. And the ad hoc committee set up, and the other time, you have 1.5 weeks to turn in your report. While for the State Senior Secondary School Board, you have 2 weeks to turn in your report. May I quickly also announce to members that for your budget defense, your report, the Chairman's Committee on Finance and Appropriation will give an update, but please ensure that your report is turning within the next 2 weeks. Your budget report, turn it in and send to the Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Thank you very much. Leader of the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues. Having exhausted the last item on our order is item 5, and that's adjournment, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, sorry. Why I agree with you, that is our last. Okay. Can you move your motion?
Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, I would like to move a motion that this Honorable House, having exhausted all the items in our order paper for today, I want to move a motion that this House adjourns until Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024.
Tuesday what?
December 3rd. Tuesday, December 3rd.
Can you just move that the House adjourns Synod?
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In conformity with your directive, I want to move a motion that this House adjourns Synod.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Babatunde Faweku.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I am Babatunde Faweku. I represent Dose, Constituency 1. I rise to second the motion as moved by the majority leader that this House do adjourn till Tuesday, Synod. So I second. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that motion for adjournment, dear colleagues, the House will, after this adjournment, after the close of this session, we shall converge for parliamentary meeting. Thank you very much. On that note, I put the question that if you are in support that this House adjourn Synod, say aye. Against, say nay. The ayes have it. I arise. Nay after ruling is unallowed. It's not allowed.